The police state ends with me, and we've made it one more day. Today, what I'm going to talk about is going to be a bit repetitive, but I do want to go ahead and finish reading you the notes that I wrote right after the raid, because, you know, human beings can tend to, you know, when you explain what happened and you do that several times over a long period of time, any human being can come across as is overblowing a situation. I try to very much not do that, but I'm human. And so, you know, and one of the things is when you say something 3 different times over 3 or 4 different months, you say it slightly differently, and then people tend not to want to believe you because you sound different when you do it. So what I'm trying to do is not even go off of memory here, but to go off of the notes I made. You know, when they kept me in the driveway, they wouldn't let me take notes. They wouldn't let me record anything. They wouldn't let me call anyone. They wouldn't. So I could not write down people's names, what was going on at the time. I had to, right after the situation, write this all down. And, you know, it's been going on 6 months ago since that happened, and 9 months since the beginning of their so-called investigation of me. And rather than try to just remember everything, I wrote it down and try to. So I'll try to go over that. Today it'll be a little bit repetitive. Tomorrow we'll start something brand new and hopefully really open up your understanding. But let me finish this for today, and I'll try to stop rambling. I'll also try not to go off on tangents today. I'll just try to read. So picking back up from yesterday. The Bartlesville police have every reason to frame me because I caught them on video committing a crime, and this was a conspiracy, as the officer that stole my trash can down the street, that lives down the street, told me he was doing what another told him to do, steal from me. Now, if 2 people are involved in a crime, that's a conspiracy. That's the definition. You know, laugh and call it a conspiracy theory, but that is the definition of a conspiracy. They've now seized the video evidence of their crime and may be gone for good if they deleted it. The Bartlesville police need me to look guilty and convince people I'm guilty in order to diminish the crime they've committed. You know, not that anyone's ever going to look into it and hold them accountable anyway, but Mike Moore and James Brazel and James Phillips Medical Center in general hold apparently ill will toward me for the letters I wrote to the EEOC complaint back in 2009. They also apparently don't like the idea of me running for city council in Ward 4, which James Phillips Medical Center is in Bartlesville. I would never do anything to harm our local hospital or act in a way that is against what is, you know, best for our community. But I believe the guilty consciences of some of the leadership up there at James Phillips Medical Center and how they behaved in 2009 leads them to want me not to be in public office. You know, not to have any pull, not to have people listen to me. I mean, what they need is for people to think like they want. You know, people to think that they did nothing wrong and I'm a bad guy. Mike Moore and James Brazel and James Phillips Medical Center as a whole in general need me to be guilty as well, because if not, then the EEOC may fine them a huge amount of money for retaliation on a former employee that filed an EEOC complaint. As my understanding is, there's no statute of limitations on retaliation, although I don't really hold out any hope of that, for this is, you know, James Phillips Medical Center leadership will just lie again like they did before and cover things up. So, you know, is anyone going to hold anyone accountable? You know, to me it's obvious. After tearing my house apart, finding nothing, and all the lies and all this time that's gone by, the only thing they have left is to plant something. And both the Bartlesville Police and Mike Moore and James Brazel and James Phillips Medical Center need me guilty to protect themselves from their own crimes. You know, it's a crime to lie to the police. It's a crime to file a false police report. It's a crime for the police to steal from me. It's a crime for them to leave out the fact that they did steal from me from the warrant affidavit. It's a crime. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to what they call, I think they call exculpatory evidence. Evidence that shows that I'm not guilty. So he says, well, we need to get in there and tear his house apart. Well, why? Well, to get to the videos that I got of them stealing from me. Not pointing that out to the judge and making it sound like they have a better reason to be in here. That's a crime. You know, like I said, you know, they can lie, but they can't lie about factual evidence. But again, that's, you know, testifying. When they go and they file a warrant affidavit, they're under oath and they're testifying, and that's lying by doing that. So who's going to hold them accountable for that, even when they're not supposed to be lying? And you know, after all this time, it's just so obvious they have nothing. Of course they have nothing. There's nothing to have. You know, but I sit here with my head spinning. The police are being such liars, I can't imagine they won't make something up. Because I'm not going to shut up about it, because this has to stop. This has to stop. You know. I hope that I'm wrong and they will stop. And, you know, this terrible thing that's happening to me. But I have to realize it would be naive to think that they're going to do that. They have no consequences. Why would they? You know, I've never been in trouble before. I always tried to do the right thing. I was trying to volunteer for a non-paid position by campaigning as Bartlesville City Council member. But, you know, again, do we live in a democracy? It doesn't appear we actually do. It appears we live in a police state where everyone that's not actually actively trying to run for office doesn't realize that unless you have a lot of clout, power, and backing, you're not going to be allowed to do that. That's my experience. And I know that's a lot of other people's experiences too. So, but they're like me. They're one human being out there trying to say, hey, this is going on. And so it's up to people to investigate it. No one investigates it. Only one reporter out of all the people I've talked to was willing to even talk about this. You know, and the reporters are shut down just by all the people that are involved in this, that are doing these crimes towards me, simply say no comment. So what do? These are powerful people that simply just say no comment. So a reporter would put themselves on the line to say, well, I can't prove anything because they won't comment and they won't share anything, and I've got this one person saying this happened to them, and I can't show the reporter the video because the police stole the video. It's a vicious circle. And here I am off on a tangent again. I know no one wants to believe something like this could actually happen, framed for a crime you didn't commit and all these lies and everything, but it is happening to me. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But if it doesn't stop, you know, my life will be ruined, which it already is. My life is at risk. You know, but think about it. You know, apathy is dangerous. And if it can happen to me, someone with no record and no arrests and just trying to keep their nose clean and work hard, it can happen to anyone, and it can happen to you, and it can happen to your children. You know, that's the biggest risk. You know, if this is the police state now, what's the police state going to be in 20 years? You know? Tomorrow I'm going to talk about what several employees from Jane Phillips Medical Center have told me. Now I want to point out, I have not sought these people out. They sought me out. I can't stop people from talking to me. I've not gone near the hospital, and I've not sought people out. They've sought me out. But based on what they told me and proof that I could back up from what they said on the internet, it turns out to be true. It's part of the framing of me by the police and Jane Phillips Medical Center, and it's shocking to me. You know, this is not a teaser for tomorrow's video, but it is, you know, moving on from this background and moving into today now, what's going on. And with that said, I'll see you tomorrow.